Hi, I'm Ross Snyder, one of the violinists of the Tesla Quartet, and I'm joined here with Kevin Day, who is one of the 12 composers who has written a new quartet for Tesla's alternating currents commissioning project. Kevin, thanks so much for writing us such a wonderful piece, and thank you for joining me for a chat today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on here, and y'all did a really fantastic job with it. So bravo.
Thanks very much. We're going to get into some questions here. And one of the things that struck me actually immediately is that you were the first composer to submit your finished composition. And I think it was maybe 3 days after we had initially written to you asking if you were interested. And I think then even like 2 days after that, we had the completed draft. So I was really impressed at how quickly you were able to put this together. So I was wondering if you'd like to talk about your creative process a bit. What
Yeah.
inspires you, and how do you go about working on new material?
Yeah, so my creative process is very spontaneous. I get ideas for things kind of out of nowhere, and I may not even be doing anything related to music or composition, but I'll just get these ideas. So I'll generally keep a notebook with me. I have a notebook where I write down ideas, and either I'll use it or I'll put it up for like another piece. But generally, like when I get an idea, I like to go right to the computer and just get to it and just write. And so that's what happened with the Tesla piece was I heard the string quartet. I listened to it all the way through, and then it got to variation 5, and I listened to it, and the melody I had to like listen to that like 2 or 3 times. I was like, ooh, there's something there. And so from there, I was able to take that and figure out how to make it into this mixed multimeter kind of like dance piece. And so but yeah, it's generally I'll get the idea, I'll hear what it is in my head once it comes to me, and then I'll try to get it out as soon as possible, or else I forget it,
Hmm.
which can be frustrating.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's nice as a great way to make sure you're always capturing those ideas. Well, it's a very energetic piece, it's very upbeat, and is that kind of a trait of your music normally? I mean, not to say that you write one-dimensionally, of course not, but is there something about your music that you kind of identify with, kind of across all your different
Yeah,
compositions?
yeah, I think most of my music is very energetic and has this intensity to it. I think that comes a lot from my jazz and gospel roots, and then as I was playing in like in wind bands and orchestras, I love these pieces that are high energy and very exciting to play. So I try to do that with my music, and it just this naturally this is just what happens. I just kind of write in this very like just energetic way.
Cool. Oh, it's a really fun piece and fun to perform. So thanks for that. You won the 2019 BMI Student Composer Award. Can you talk about the piece that was awarded?
Yeah, so for that, the piece that ended up winning was called Havana, and this was a piece that I sat on for about a year that I didn't really do anything with. It's basically, if I were to describe it, it's a Latin big band chart for wind ensemble. That's basically what the piece is. But I sat on this for a year because I didn't know what I was really. I didn't have the right ideas for the piece yet. I read about 23 measures of it, and um, just couldn't write for a certain period of time. I just couldn't get the right ideas. And so I just took some time away to research more into this more Latin and even more specific, like Cuban, like music, and try to get this like this sound concept in my head. So about a year later, I came across the file again, and by this point, I had actually forgotten that the file was on my computer. And I listened to it, and I was like, "Oh man, I forgot this was here." And so by that point, the ideas were there, and
Mhm.
I knew what I wanted to do. So I sat on it for a year. TCU Wind Symphony did the premiere in 2018, and then I submitted it for the BMI Composer Award. And Yeah, it was really an honor to be selected for that. I wasn't expecting it at all, and that was a really cool experience. I got to meet a lot of great people up in New York.
Hmm.
So,
So, when you win an award like this, what does it entail?
well, it there was a cash prize that came with it, but also you got to go up to New York for the ceremony, and I was introduced to some wonderful composers, conductors, and so it's also about connections as well. So, winning this is apparently a really big like thing, and so I'm just really honored and humbled that I got selected for it.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad you are getting recognized for your music.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
I understand you are the composer in residence with the Mesquite Symphony Orchestra in your home state of Texas. Can you talk
Mhm.
about the activities involved with a composer residency with an orchestra?
Yeah, it's been a really cool experience. I have so it's a 2 year residency with Mesquite, and so they're going to be premiering 3 or 4 pieces of mine. They just did one that I wrote back in 2017, actually, and so that's been premiered, and so we got a few more pieces coming. But it's mostly just like I get to show up to the rehearsals. I get to work with the conductor, with the orchestra. Um, if they need me to do community outreach, like things, I do that too. But it's a really awesome collaborative experience. I love working with groups. I love getting their feedback and their ideas, and just creating something new. So it's a really awesome residency, and I can't wait to see what we do. Hopefully, given what happens with COVID, hopefully we get these concerts happening in the
Hmm.
next year.
Sure. So you would be creating new music specifically for the Mesquite Symphony to
Yes,
premiere?
yes,
That's great. That's a great opportunity. And as you mentioned, because the pandemic has forced a lot of orchestras and other musical organizations to halt their concert activities, can you talk about what you've been doing over the last few months creatively? How has the pandemic affected your creativity or your ability to
yeah.
compose or work?
So it's been interesting. I know for me, I mean, for those who don't know, like I'm still in school. I'm a graduate student right now, so I have teaching responsibilities. I have class responsibilities, and also trying to balance being a composer as well outside of it. So it's often this really crazy balancing act. But once the pandemic, once that happened, I know I was teaching a lot online. I was doing that. I was trying to write, and at first I was actually really creative. I had a lot of time just to write,
Mm.
and a lot of time just to create, which was really good. And then about a month in or so, I just noticed like I was starting to lose it a little bit. I was not as motivated to create or as motivated to write. And so when those times happen in my life, I often will just take a break, go do something else, try to take my mind off of it, and just to kind of recharge. Because if I'm writing constantly and constantly, like eventually I'm gonna run out of steam.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's nice to be able just to also just take a break, take some time to rest, take some time to just listen to music and just enjoy it.
Hmm.
So that's been helping me just kind of get through what's happening right now with COVID.
Hmm. And also, given the current social climate, surrounding recent police shootings and this
Mhm.
kind of now more vocal addressing systemic racism in this country, uh,
Yeah.
would you like to share any thoughts? Whether it's personal experiences or a perspective as a young black composer, in the field of music?
Yeah, so I think what's happening right now is just really tragic. And I mean, ultimately, when I heard about this, it really just it definitely made me think about just everything in terms of just not just with the music industry, but what's happening with the protests and politically. And so I think with me, it's like we've I feel like this has been going on for so long, and we've already realized that like this is a thing that's been happening for a long time. And so I'm grateful that the music community and My colleagues are being very vocal about it, that are talking about it, because ultimately we want to see change. We want to see progression. And so, I mean, I'm very young. I'm still in my 20s, and I'm still trying to figure out, my way and how I fit into the world. But I know that, like, as a composer, like, I'm really grateful that I have a lot of mentors, I have a lot of teachers, I have a lot of people who believe in me, and I mean that encourages me to keep going, to keep writing, and to keep trying, just to keep just creating, because I think that's my outlet for what's going on. It's just like I need to keep creating. I need to just to have an outlet.
Hmm.
So ultimately, I hope things change. I hope that things progress, and ultimately, I hope that we become more united. But it depends on what happens. So,
Thanks so much for sharing your perspective. I really appreciate you being able
yeah,
to share your thoughts. And thank you again for writing us such a wonderful quartet. We've all just really fallen in love with it, and we're looking forward to playing it live in concert at some point. But
awesome.
are grateful that we can at least now share it online.
Yeah,
So, thanks so much for participating. Thanks for joining me today for this conversation. And
yeah.
best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. I'll take care.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.